On the Mayfly bench, a Silverface twin reverb. So this amplifier has an interesting history. The owner has owned it since he was 16 years old, and he managed to get it sometime in the 1970s. It has the original tubes, original speakers, original everything. Now why it's here is for a couple of reasons. First, he wants me to replace the 2-prong cord with a 3-prong model and to remove the depth capacitor. And the second, he says it's making a lot of hum these days, and he wants me to try and sort that out. I'm guessing that's the power supply coupling capacitors. Let's power it up, see what it does. So I've got the amp up and running, and it really does have the clean sound of doom, but it's doing some odd things. For example, this. Now that crackling sound you hear goes away as soon as I mute the string. How odd. And the volume pot definitely needs to be cleaned. Overall, I'm not hearing a lot of power supply related hum issues, so maybe it doesn't need a cap job after all. So here's the back of the amplifier. As you can see, it's very clean and unmolested. I really want to have this thing open and see what's inside. Yeah, man. It's a little cobwebby, but it has the original tubes, original loudspeakers. Fortunately, the tube chart is torn. But other than that, it's very original looking. It's nice. I'm a little concerned about how heavy that chassis is going to be when I take it out of there, but here goes nothing. Right, here it is out in the world. It looks pretty nice, although it's got a little friend there. Hey, buddy. Woo. Guess he's part of the house now. You can tell it's had a hit sometime in the past because that chassis is bent. Probably because it got dropped and the weight of the power transformer deformed it. Opening up the doghouse, we can see that those are the original capacitors. They're not leaking. They actually look okay. And I am quite surprised. Going to have a closer look at those guys later, but I'm almost tempted to leave them alone. If they're working, they're working. Here is the bottom side of the amplifier. Now, I've been staring at this for the past 5 minutes and trying to find a spot where it was modified from stock. And I can't find it. It looks very original. I cannot find where anyone has done any modifications or repairs or anything of any kind. It looks perfect. If I were to change anything in this amplifier, I would change these 2 electrolytic capacitors on the bias circuit. But looking closely at it, there's no signs of distress on them. There's no signs of distress anywhere. It's a really nice amp. Okay, let's clean those pots. I just removed the depth cap. Okay, the new power cord is installed, soldered in place, including the ground wire. I decided that now that it's open, at the very least I could do is check the bias. On closer inspection, that's not a bias pot. What that is a balance pot. And you set that for minimum noise. So, well, at least I can check the voltage that's generating. All right, so we're going to probe this out. You guys get to watch. Minus 40 volts. So on one set of tubes, it's minus 39. It's pretty balanced the way it is. We're going to see if we can do a small adjustment to get the noise down. I wouldn't say that's really loud. No more scratchy sound when you turn them. I think it's time we button this thing up. While working on the amp, I found out that some of the Tolex has been kind of flaking off, especially where the front panel is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my handy dandy staple gun and secure it. So while I was stapling my Tolex, I found something interesting. These screws on the baffle board were all loose, and in fact, one over here is actually missing. So that's pretty odd. So I'm going to have a closer look at that and make sure everything is affixed securely. Chassis is ready. Baffle board has been properly affixed with screws. Tolex has been stapled up in place. It's time to marry these two. Okay, the amp is done. Really didn't need that much. The caps are fine, tubes are fine, bias voltages are fine. Essentially all I did was replace the power cord, remove the depth cap, and clean up all the potentiometers. Let's see how it sounds.